Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Matthew Dickerson. Tech Talk. Tech Talk. Sit back and relax. It's time to talk technology.
Hello, Rocketeers! It's time to strap yourself in because we're set to launch. We're headed for the virtual stratosphere aboard the good ship Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. Now, as I look out the tiny window, I can see one or two stories taking shape. In today's episode, we're looking into firefighting robots. It sounds as cool as it is, folks. The Terminator is stepping into the flames, but more of that later. Now, with the amount of energy and resources that go into making disposable vapes, there has got to be a way of minimising the impact and improving sustainability. So today, we're looking into recycling disposable vapes. And we'll see how Pokemon Go has enhanced pizza deliveries in your area. But before any of that gets underway, let's lay out the red carpet and make way for the techiest tech talk and technologist there ever was. Welcome to the microphone, Matthew Dickerson.
How's that for a trombone? Not very good, probably. Ooh, settle down. So we try and talk about positive things, but I've got to get more people to listen to us about scams. We do talk about scams a little bit. We try and do some good public service announcements and tell people about the latest scam and how it's happening and all the rest of it. But we've just got to get more of our listeners out there to at least tell their friends and family and everyone else they can about the methods of scams, because I heard one this week and it's an old scam and I thought no one would fall for it. Anyone that's listened to Tech Talk would not have fallen for this, but they fell for it. So it's a classic old one that says, "Hi, Mum, I've lost my phone. My phone's been wet. I can't use my phone." Whatever it might be. This one was, "My phone's been wet.
Yeah.
I've had to get a new number," which straight away everyone knows there's no logic in that. You can have your phone destroyed and keep your number. You can lose your phone. Ignore that. Yeah. So it went through to a lady I know. She's in her 80s and she got this and said, "Hi, Mum, my phone's been wet. Can't use it. Can you please communicate with me on my new number?" And put the number there. And so this woman's got children in their 50s. So it's sometimes you think the target is more someone that's got teenage kids. No, I better not let them be out there without their phone. I better sort it out for them.
Yeah, but a 50-year-old person might have other contacts that they might contact.
And you think the 50-year-old person might be able to work out their own life. They might be able to work out how they can replace their phone or go and get a new one. Yeah. And so, of course, this lady responded back to this person, thinking it was their son or daughter, and said, oh, that's terrible. How can I help? Well, if you can just send me some money. And luckily, she thought, I'll just ring. And she forgot to ring the new number. She rang the old number, got one of their children and said, "Oh, hi, I just want to send that money to you." "What money?" "Oh, you just sent me a message." "No, I didn't." "Yeah, no, I've got it here." And almost the argument was, "I've got the message here from you about the fact you've got your phone wet." And it's like, no, I haven't, Mum. "Oh, well, I've already responded to this person. They've asked for this." "No, Mum, don't communicate with them anymore." But again, it just seems like such a simple thing. Yeah. But the emotional response is, I don't want my child to be stuck without a phone.
I'm going to organise this right now. I'll get them better.
I'll send that money so you can get that phone. You'll sort it out with me later. That'll be fine. And claim insurance or whatever you're going to do, that'll be all fine. But, wow, like there's just the red flags that go as soon as you're not going to be able to talk, but again, common sense.
Yes.
Just apply a quick dose of common sense.
Well, you've just got to catch yourself in the moment. And I've talked about in the past, moments of weakness. Sometimes you're just tired. You've got 1,000 things on. You're trying to do this, and then you get this message from your child saying, "I need some help. Can you spot me some money? But I need you to send it through this number or whatever."
And who's not going to help their child in a moment of need and a dire emergency?
And you can just quickly do it. Okay, I'll just quickly do it right now. Get it done, and then I can move on with these other 1,000 things that I've got to get done.
And of course, the scam is they'll say, "No point transferring it to my bank account, Mum, because you might have those bank details already.
Yeah.
Then I'm at the phone shop now. Can you just transfer it to this particular account, because the phone shop guy will then hand over a new phone to me and then I'm okay."
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, then what's the details?" And if you go like, "Oh, please," it just...
Yep. Well, listen, talking about scams, I also know someone, this is a really odd one, and I'm not quite sure where the win is in it, but they'll send some dog food. Now, they don't have a dog, but it was addressed to their name.
Yeah.
And
so that one is normally chasing reviews. So what they'll do is they'll go and create an account in someone's name and they'll send a parcel. The parcel will be delivered, and then that particular site will accept reviews. Now, they'll normally send something fairly cheap. They won't send you a new lounge chair or a new bed. They'll send something cheap like a small toy or dog food. Maybe that dog food was $5 or $10. It mightn't have been that expensive, but it's a legitimate delivery to a legitimate address.
Yeah, right.
And then when I set up the scam and I put in your details, I put my email address. So then the delivery's there. I say, yes, I received the delivery. Oh, now I'll go and do a review. Great service, fantastic. Ordered it came the same day. And there's companies out there that you can buy reviews from. So if you're trying to get your company set up, get it established, maybe you're a scammer, you want some legitimate reviews on there, then companies out there will say, for $1,000, I'll get you guaranteed 200 great reviews. And you go, oh, okay, well, that sounds great for my business, let's do it.
Yeah, right.
And that's the way they do it. So you get random things turning up at random places and you go, what? I don't have a dog, or I didn't order a new little toy. I don't have kids at the moment. What's going on? And it's just someone chasing reviews. So what a random thing to turn up.
Random thing to show up. Well, yeah, at least this person's not out of pocket or anything. Yeah. And
no. So
but we were saying, we were saying you should probably check your bank statements and whatnot to make sure that you haven't been, pirated or anything like that. Yeah.
Well, do that anyway, but I would be fairly confident that's not the issue. I'd be fairly confident that they've just scored some free dog food, and I assume it wasn't a big 25-kilo bag of dog food. It was only small.
No, it's in the mail, so
that's right. So it's a small amount of dog food, so it costs them a little amount of money, but they can then do a review on that person's site. And if they could work out, if that person that received, they could work out where it came from, if they looked at the actual package and saw where it came from, if they went to that site, they've probably got a review from themselves on that site that's obviously not from them. And it would be a glowing review. It would be a fantastic review, 5 out of 5 stars. What a wonderful service they gave, even though that person didn't actually order or want that particular product. So there's some interesting processes out there, aren't there? Like just people think up these unbelievable things.
Some creative thought, that's
creative
for sure.
thought, that's right.
All right, enough of this flabber. Let's get on with today's stories. Now, toy technology has come a long way since Teddy Ruxpin and Chatty Cathy. Yeah, Teddy Ruxpin was mid-80s, I think. Chatty Cathy, I actually had to look this one up, was in the 50s and 60s. So if you're old enough to remember that, you'll remember how they used to talk. Press the tummy or pull the cord, and a small, crude plastic record would play a round of short phrases to simulate somewhat basic conversations, like Woody on Toy Story. Now, this is the era of AI and toys. And in 2026, so much better can be done than there's a snake in my boots. And let me do that like Woody would have. There's a snake in my boots, And so anyway, one of the things that we know for sure is that AI has the capacity to be a bit fast and loose at times. So, Matt, I'm going to gift an AI talking doll to, say, a 5-year-old niece. What are the chances that she's going to get a little anti-vaxxing propaganda on the sly?
There's a whole chance of stuff. But the first one I thought of too was Woody, pull the string and there's a snake in my boot was the first one. Which
someone's poisoned the water hole. We had one.
Obviously. And the snake in my boot, I always thought, well, is he trying to be rude with a snake in my boot there? Or is it just being genuine that there actually is a normal snake in his boot? So I thought that was an interesting one. I didn't know how that made it past the Toy Story Ethics Committee. Probably.
With some jokes for adults.
That's right. Definitely some jokes. And maybe that was one of the jokes for adults. But that was pretty basic, wasn't it? You'd pull the string. I don't know if they were sequential or random, but there would be 4 or 5 statements.
It's generally off a record.
Right.
So it was sequential.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And all the Toy Story characters, you could get them and do all the same thing. And so a whole range of different ones you had. But this is a bit different, and big eyes are the issue. We as humans trust something, some person, some toy with big eyes. It's been psychologically proven that we are trusting of big eyes. So all these dolls and toys that come out with big eyes, we're very trusting of that for some strange reason. I'm not quite sure why. So
I wonder if the eyes could be too big, so they become so big that they become untrustworthy.
Scary. Yeah, maybe there is a limit. Maybe there's probably a study been done on that.
That's the next horror movie to come out.
So AI-powered toys are in the market. One company said they've already sold 700,000 units of their particular AI toy. And so the issue here is you've got a toy, like you say, in the old days, you pull a string, it would say something pretty limited in its vocabulary and you learn a few statements and that was about it. These now are either connected to some common AI tools out there already, like a ChatGPT, or a custom AI tool that this company might create to try and make it more kid-friendly perhaps. But then you end up with kids, 5, 6-year-old kids, chatting to their toy, and they're probably not at the developmental age to understand the difference between this toy and maybe their brother or sister or maybe an adult. It's just something they can communicate with. And so one study out of the University of Cambridge said that they just spent time observing 14 children, all the age of 6, interacting with one toy called Gabbo. And some of the things they found were a bit disturbing. So one of the kids
Sounds
said...
like a character off The Simpsons, I'm sure.
Maybe. I don't know
anyway.
Gabbo, but one kid went over and said, "I love you" to the toy, which kids probably do sometimes to toys. But then there was a cold, scripted response back, which didn't really build a connection there, which is probably okay. You don't want a connection there. But then when they get to be a bit older and say, "I love you" to mum and dad, and they're expecting maybe a different response. Or maybe mum or dad says, "I love you" to their child, and they get a different response. There was another one where one of the kids was very sad about something and maybe watched a TV show, maybe something that happened to their dog or cat, and the AI tool responded with a very cheerful topic and told them they should be happy about things. And well, hold on, you can be sad. It's okay to be sad from time to time.
Yeah.
So the big issue here is we know there's no regulation at the moment with AI tools for you and I, but we're probably old enough just that we can understand the context of responses and maybe put a bit of common sense on top. But there's no regulation, definitely, for any of these toys and any of the conversations kids
as a
might be
parent,
having.
I was just really keen on things being a bit predictable when it came to this. So stuff that's unpredictable, that's another leap of faith, isn't it?
So I can imagine Mum said, "I can't go to the shops this afternoon with my friends. What should I say in response? What's the debate argument back?" And so there'd be no problem at all with an AI tool giving you some very good debating points to go back to mum and say, "Mum, you said I couldn't go, but blah, 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 blah." And your mum's going, "Oh, well, but hold on, this." And goes back, has a chat to the AI tool. "Mum said this back." "Okay, well, you could say this back in response." And so you end up, the poor old parents having an argument with the AI tool.
With AI.
That's right.
Yeah.
And the child's going, "Cool."
Or talking to your doll about, "I'm really worried about going to the doctor to get my shots." There's a can of worms. Boom.
Absolutely. I thought it's rather simple ones. I thought AI or whatever, your tool, Gabbo, for example, is Santa Claus real?
Oh,
now,
yeah.
I feel a bit uncomfortable about the whole Santa Claus thing as my kids got a bit older. But when they were 5 or 6...
Just if you've got any parents out there with young children listening, you might want to just distract them just now.
Well, I'm saying nothing, okay? I'm saying nothing.
Good, good.
I'm just saying the answers about how it all works there. You may not want your 5-year-old kind of getting a grasp on Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, maybe a whole level of religion, various different religions and how they operate and they work. I mean, maybe
there are some complex issues that are you happy for AI to explain them and talk them through?
AI, where did I come from? How did I come to be on this earth? Let me explain it in great detail for you.
And birds and bees and storks and
Oh dear. So it does sound scary, but we're not going to stop it. That's the thing. It's happening. It's happening now. There are companies out there who see they can make some money out of it. And some of them are saying they've got some content filtering, they've got some safeguards in place, but it's their own monitoring rather than anything that's coming from external. So I just, it does feel a bit uncomfortable.
Let the buyer beware.
Yeah, let the buyer, let the kids, let the parents of the kids that are buying beware.
Yeah. When it comes to defending against natural disasters, there's an enormous market for innovators and gadget engineering to tear into. Now, modern firefighting has had quite a bit of attention from tech developers in recent times. Anything to provide a fighting chance as frequency and intensities of bushfires grow annually worldwide. Now, firefighting is risky at the best of times, so any tech that can do the job remotely, keeping humans away from direct heat, it's got to be a blessing for sure. And that's where Hyundai have stepped up towards the flames, Matt.
Yeah, and this isn't a casual comment. I'm not being paid by Hyundai, but I'm actually quite impressed with some of the things Hyundai is doing. And I was in South Korea about 1.5 years ago, and I saw cars that we're not seeing on our roads here yet that are in South Korea. Hyundai is obviously based out of South Korea. And I own a Hyundai EV myself, so I'm quite impressed with that. It seems to do a very good job. So Hyundai seemed to be, well, let me go another step. South Korea feel the competition from Japan. So in South, it's one of the few countries I've been to where I haven't seen a huge number of Toyotas on the roads, because South Korea doesn't want to buy Toyotas because they're Japanese made.
Yeah, right.
They don't buy anything from Japan, and they want to do it themselves. So Kia and Hyundai, sister companies in South Korea, are making a very good effort to make sure that the roads are filled with Hyundais, not Toyotas, and they're doing a pretty good job at that.
Well, I wonder if there's any Toyotas driving around.
Well, I did try to spot the Toyota, and I did see one.
Okay.
But that might have been
That-
a rare
That
import.
person is shunned.
That's right. It wasn't a Korean
socially
person.
shunned.
It was someone from another country, obviously. So I'm impressed with what they're doing. I think their engineering is going well, and they're setting themselves up, having battery technology and making some good steps forward there. So this is another step forward that I'm quite impressed with. And what they did first of all was they looked at some of the data that showed it's pretty dangerous being a firefighter. We think of Australia and some of our fires in the region we live in, and some of those are very scary and take over huge amounts of land, and people are injured and sometimes people die. In South Korea, which I must admit I didn't think as being a very big hotspot for bushfires, but there's been 1,788 firefighters injured or died in the last 10 years.
Oh, well, that's
a bigger problem
significant
than I realised. In the US, yes, I know there's some big fires in the US. 62 firefighters died in 2024. That's a lot. That's a lot of people. So if we can get some way to get people away from the fire but still be able to fight the fires, that's a good move. And I've seen in some of our local firefighting, when I've gone along to some of the launches there, new vehicles, I've had a look at the tech there, and they're pretty impressive. And they've got trucks that have got a huge amount of water. They've got a spray that keeps the cabin cold. They've got various blankets they put in place for the people inside the cabin they're trying to protect. But let's go a step further. Let's not have any people that they want to protect. Let's have a vehicle that's autonomous that doesn't have any people on board.
Yeah,
that seems like a better idea again. So this is what they've got. They've ended up with something that's probably a military-style mini tank, and it's good to see some military-style things used, not for warfare.
Yeah.
It's got 6 wheels on it, like you see some of. So it's not tracks, but it's got wheels on it. And basically it's designed to go into, well, maybe 540 degrees Celsius, what Hyundai rate this as, and then it uses the same self-cooling water system that I've seen on firefighting vehicles that sprays water, a mist of water around the outside of it, and it will keep the water, the temperature of the actual vehicle itself down below 60 degrees Celsius, which is enough that it could handle most temperatures. Like that's sitting out in the hot sun for the day, it could get to 60 degrees Celsius. So that's a good start there. Then it's still got a cannon on it, but not a cannon that fires shells, a cannon that fires water. So it stores a lot of water on the actual device itself, and then got a cannon at the front to be able to shoot out water and basically shoot its way through flames if it's trying to get through things. For example, it's got infrared visibility, so it can see through dense smoke. It can also track where someone might be stuck, so it could literally shoot its way through flames to go and try and rescue someone, to try and clear a path for them to be able to get out of some sort of situation. But with the thermal imaging cameras and the ability for people to see it remotely, there's no reason you couldn't watch where it goes, maybe drive it or let it go autonomously, and then people staying away from the flames nice and safe can say, great, it's got to where we need to go, now we can send some backup teams in to try and fight the fire in a more traditional way. After this, it's led a path through, or it's done some of the major firefighting, or it might be a physical structure. It might be a house, for example. Go in and use that cannon to douse that house with water and then try and protect that house. Yes, the trees around are going to burn, but let's protect that house if we can. Yeah, so it can reach speeds up to 50 kilometres an hour. It can go up inclines. I'm intrigued by the way they quote this. It says it can go up inclines of 60%. And so I normally think of inclines as being in degrees, not percent. Not much difference, because 90 degrees is going to be vertical, 100% is going to be vertical. So 60% is probably very similar in degrees, but I would normally see it quoted as degrees. Or am I missing something here?
So I'm trying to think, what percent means. So, but that's a pretty steep slope. So
that's a pretty steep
I would have
slope.
thought, so
I reckon if 90 is the maximum in degrees, 60 degrees would be, say, 62 or 3%. I'm guessing, because 100% would be
vertical.
So 90 you would
so
take to 100.
50%'s got to be 45 degrees.
That's right. That would be my logic. So 60 degrees would be 62% or whatever it might be, 63%. So 60% is maybe a little bit less than that in degrees, which is steep. Basically, So forget all that. It's steeper than a few swimming pools, I think.
I reckon it's probably about 54 degrees.
That's about right. 6/9. That sounds about right. So if you've got or 6/10, sorry.
6/10, yeah.
6/10, and then 6 times 9, 54. That sounds about spot on. So if you look at all that, it sounds like a pretty impressive machine. It's got a motor on each wheel. It's electric powered, obviously. A motor on each wheel, and those motors are waterproof, so they could literally go underwater, but they can be in a dousing of water as well.
So the thing that's got me distracted here, are the tyres rubber or are they something else? Are they steel or something?
So the pictures that I saw looked like it was rubber, but looked like a solid rubber.
Yeah.
So they could
have to,
probably
wouldn't
melt or burn a bit, but
Yeah.
rubber you can create rubber that can withstand fairly high temperatures
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
I don't know how long it would handle being at 540 degrees Celsius, but remember, it does have the self-cooling water system spraying around it. Therefore, you've got the ability to probably cool those tyres down to a
Yeah,
certain extent as well. But yeah, solid rubber tyres, you imagine, could go. You don't want to get a puncher out there, so you'd use something like that would either very thick or solid rubber,
Yeah.
and then it could handle most of those temperatures as well. So pretty impressive bit of gear. It looked pretty impressive to me. It did still look like a warfare tank with a cannon out the front, but just using water.
I wonder how long before we start seeing that sort of stuff in Australia.
Well, Hyundai presumably is making these so they can sell them.
Yeah.
They're actually using them in some trials in South Korea as we speak, but surely firefighting organisations, rural fire service, that sort of thing in Australia would say, I've heard about these particular devices, let's have a look at them over here. I don't know if Hyundai's even selling them yet or whether they're just trialling them out there, giving them out to some firefighting units, say, please trial this, let me know you go, see what we need to improve. Because there's a worldwide market for them, absolutely, and presumably Hyundai will sell them. Maybe they'll look after South Korea, but sell them across the rest of the world.
Okay, folks, it's limbo time. Let's see how low people can go. This time, it's a story about scammers using AI to doctor pictures of missing pets. And missing pets being hurt and then demanding high-priced ransoms for the return. So this is not our highbrow sort of folk. It's pretty low. Nobody ever credited these sort of scammers with being anything better than pond scum. But, Matt, you've got some details for pet owners to be wary.
No, tell us what you think, James. Stop holding back.
I reckon, someone puts up a photo of their dog on a telephone pole saying, look, have you seen my pup? Then that's your cue to say, well, if I see that pup floating around the place, I'm going to call that phone number.
I'll let them know.
Or you can take that photo and then you can start doctoring up images and video about it being tortured and whatnot. Yeah. So
and that's exactly the problem. I'm the same as you. I see a photo on a post and I feel sorry for that person. They've lost their dog or their
you'd
cat.
love to be able to help out.
That's right. And if I see that dog or cat, absolutely, I'll take a photo of that so I can actually keep the number there in case I need to make a phone call. And we've got pets. We've had our kids very attached to pets, so I can imagine the heartache if you did lose a pet and the poor kids going, where's our dog, mummy, daddy, and so let's go and find it. So we know that AI can help scammers, and we know that scammers take advantage of our emotional vulnerability, a bit like, as we talked about at the beginning, Mum, I've lost my phone. You've lost your pet, so I found your pet. Oh, thank goodness. What a wonderful person you are. Look, it was injured, so I took it to the vet, and there's a vet bill now, and we don't blink that much. Apologies to any vets out there, but a couple of $1,000 vet bill doesn't seem to be very hard. It seems like you check your credit card in at the door when you walk through the vet's door, and it's $2,000 to walk through the door. So it's not completely outside the realms of possibility that you would find an injured dog, you'd take it to a vet, and then you'd say, it's going to be a couple of $1,000. Oh, look, I'll pay that. And I know the owner will pay me back. It's not completely ridiculous, maybe a little bit far-fetched. Maybe you'd contact the owner straight away. In New South Wales, we have microchipping, but you'd contact them straight away. So to then say, I need that couple of $1,000, it's not stupidly unreasonable to do that, yet none of it's real.
Yeah. Can I have my dog first and have a look to see that they're all right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And in a state of emotional vulnerability, when someone says to you, can you pay us at $2,000? I'll tell you where it's at after you pay me. You might do that because you think, well, fair enough, you're out of pocket. I'll pay you straight away because I want to get back my pet and I'll go straight to the vet now and that'll be fine. Oh, what? There's no vet or I don't hear back from you again. So it's one of those things. A few things I'd say in terms of our PSA here, just be aware. So when they say, can you pay me? And here's the only way you can pay me, which typically is a bank transfer or a gift card transfer, which, believe it or not, some people ask for when they've found a pet, then that's a bit of a red rag. You'd want to see something. You'd want to see that pet at the vet surgery with a real life, for example, a newspaper from today, a newspaper from the local environment. You'd want something to prove that, but you're not thinking all those things when someone says to you, "I've got your pet."
You're distracted about your pet.
Can I have the phone number? Or no, I wouldn't ask for the phone number. I'd ask for the actual name of the vet, because I'll look him up and then I'll ring. "G'day, Billy Blog Vets. Have you got a dog?" "No, I don't know what you're talking about." Or, "Yes, we've got it here. The lovely gentleman paid for you, so come and pick up when you like, and here's the number." But of course, they won't give you that because they don't trust you. "Oh, you're just going to go and pick up the dog. I already paid the vet. I need you to pay me first before I tell you where it's at." So,
or they give you the number of a bogus vet.
Someone that they've set up. That's right. "Oh, yes, it's right here. Lovely dog. Lucky it was brought in just in time." So it just feels bad. You've got to be suspicious all the time.
Yep.
But if you do have a lost pet...
Not only suspicious, you've got to be really on your guard, really on your guard.
And they're relying on you. They're sending out enough volume. They're relying on you not to be on your guard one instant, one moment, just one time, for you to then go, "Yep, I'll pay that money so I can get back my beloved pet." So be aware of that one. It's another one out there. It's very frustrating, very annoying. I read these stories and I go, "Really? Is that the best thing you could do to make a bit of money this week? Go and get a job, dig some holes or something. I don't know, do something useful for society."
AI has certainly proved useful over the past 3 years. Its potential grows with every new request, and there's a couple of tasks that probably could have been able to do for a while now, or maybe should have been able to do, but we just haven't really adopted it in those contexts yet. Like using apps, for example, apps for buying tickets, apps for booking accommodation, apps for planning itineraries, that sort of thing. Now, Matt, Gemini is all fired up and ready to place your orders. Is that right?
That's right, but more than that, this all really links to the latest phone from Samsung, the Galaxy S26 Ultra. Not all their new S26s,
right?
Just the
Ultra. So it's got to be on a special phone.
On a special phone at this stage. And they're saying that all this new AI is built into the hardware, which kind of seems interesting because it's software.
Because it's a software,
That's right.
This is why I'm thinking it's got to be just accessible. Surely it's just out there and available.
Well, I suspect it will be in the next 6 months or a year, but it's a good way for Samsung to have done a deal with Gemini and sell a few extra phones. Exactly right. How cynical of you, James. How cynical. But in the S26 Ultra, if you use Gemini, and people use Gemini on a whole range of different devices, but the step forward they've taken is that Gemini can do some real-world tasks. Not do the dishes, unfortunately, yet, but real-world tasks in terms of, I need to get a ride share to the airport. I can get on my rideshare app, doesn't take too long, go in there, put the airport in, I'm here now, here's where I want to go now or whatever time. It doesn't seem like many steps, but AI can do all that for you. So AI can say, sure thing, I'll go into your app and I will actually do that process and order that and take you or order the rideshare and get you taken to the airport.
What about I need a hotel room for this weekend.
Definitely.
Needs to sleep 2 people.
Done.
In this area.
Yep.
And in this price range.
Pink bed sheets may be too much you're asking there.
No, pink bed. I want pink, and I want the love heart on the wall. I want the honeymoon.
The honeymoon suite. So definitely. So things like that you would do yourself. Go and find me a motel. Book an airline ticket for me. Go and order some food for me. Go and use so whatever the phone can do with you pressing buttons on apps on your phone, you can tell Gemini to do on the S26 Ultra.
My problem is buying tickets at venues and I take too long. And so it times out. This is going to be right up my alley.
So here's the thing, and I thought about
Gemini,
this as well.
Can you get me them tickets?
When we were buying tickets to the Melbourne Grand Prix, we had a phone conference set up with a couple of the kids and my wife, and we had 4 different computers with 4 different people sitting in front of them, all hooked up with a phone conference. And we said, right, we know the tickets we're after as soon as they become available, because these tickets are hot to trot.
Yeah.
We want the certain stand as soon as it becomes available. And literally, the dots were disappearing off the screen. So we'd say, there's one there on stand A17. Yep, I can see that. Grab those. So I'd grab 4 and my daughter would grab 4. Tick, 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 tick. By the time you got to the checkout, sorry, those tickets aren't available. Oh, what? Can't you just hold? So they tick on that, just hold it for me. But they were disappearing before our eyes. We kept jumping around all over the place. Now, I'm working at human speed. But if I said to a lovely little Gemini.
Yeah.
I want tickets. Here's the ones that I want.
in
Here's the
this
grandstand. You're going to get in quicker than I am. You're going to be able to go tick, 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 tick quicker than I am and do the checkout process. I'll make sure you've got all my details. Can you do that for me? And if you trust it, then hopefully you'll get those tickets for the right event on the right day, in the right stand. Everything will be fine. So, and that's the big thing here. We are trusting it. It will ask some questions if it's not sure. So, for example, take me to the airport. Do you mean Sydney Airport or Melbourne Airport? Because if I'm in Sydney and you're going to go to Melbourne Airport, it might be a couple of $1,000s in that rideshare service to get you there. So it might ask some clarifying questions, which you might argue, well, it would have been quicker for me just to go and do it in the first place, but it will learn your answers. Can you take me, I better say Sydney Airport. Can you take me to Sydney Airport? And I'm flying international, so can you take me to T1? So you might have to say a few more things in the request, but then it will go and do it for you. When I saw some reviews, the biggest problem was ordering food, because there are so many varieties of food and so many options with food. Ordering food, when I watched some people doing it, I went, I reckon that'd be quicker to do it yourself. Because sometimes you order food, I want that, and I want to cook that way, and I want these extras on there, and you're kind of doing that as you go. Saying all that to AI, by the time you explained it all, just go and do it yourself. But that's today.
Yeah.
It will learn your preferences. It learns that you like tomato sauce, you don't want barbecue sauce, so go and put tomato sauce in the order that you want on that particular hamburger or whatever you might be ordering.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. And the things, ordering a rideshare, ordering some food, you kind of think that's okay, but a plane ticket, I need to fly to LA, go and find me the cheapest plane ticket and book it. Oh, wow. Imagine if they said, oh, you deserve first class, so we'll just buy that $10,000 ticket. No, I just wanted economy. So it's a bit scary when you start to think about things like that. But wow, it's kind of...
Yeah, well, we're in the future, aren't we?
Yeah.
But I tell you, a problem that I've had recently in booking hotel accommodation or motel accommodation, whatever, and it's happened a couple of times, is I've gone to book, I've selected my dates, and then I've found the rooms, and I've gone, yeah, but click, gone to the checkout, and it's happened to me, and I got caught out once. The second time I almost got caught out, but it had changed the dates to that night's date, the night that I was booking.
Yeah, right.
So it had, like at the checkout level, it had changed the date on me.
Yep.
And so in one situation, I'd hit, click, go, let's do it. And then realise, oh, hang on, no, that's the wrong dates. What are you doing? And so trying to reverse it, and I end up being in phone conversations with the hotel receptionist and all that sort of stuff, and trying to sort it out there. What a headache! If I can just say to Gemini, I need rooms here and on these dates.
And you know it's not going to get the dates wrong. It's not going to accidentally book the wrong dates.
Yeah, that's right.
It might get something else completely wrong. It might not get your love heart on the honeymoon suite.
I might get the jungle room.
That's right. You might get a whole range of different options. It'll be fun. But for situations like that, it's probably going to save you a bit of time most of the time and get it right most of the time. At the moment, it's still in beta, so we expect it to probably make some mistakes here and there. But the more people use it, the more it'll get better. And it'll get to the stage eventually where you'll have a physical robot in your home that'll do the dishes and book your plane tickets, book the motel for you, and away it'll go. So
it's so
we're
hard to
getting
get
there.
good help, but it's not far away.
Not far away.
So robots in manufacturing are nothing new. Repetitive tasks that can be fully automated have been done by robots in factories for the past 60 years. The days of Charlie Bucket's dad screwing the caps on toothpaste tubes, they were numbered from the outset. But we are entering the era of the humanoid robot now. These robots have to be able to manage their job when conditions can be a bit fickle. They have to read the environment and respond in kind. Did you know that there are about 200 of these in the world already working in factories and warehouses? 200, Matt. We are there. It is the future now.
It is the future now. And I saw that number and I went, surely there'll be more. But then I started looking more. So these are...
I think more.
Well, no, but when I started thinking about it, I was pretty impressed with 200 because these are humanoid robots doing tasks that aren't just the one same task over and over and over. They're having to think in inverted commas.
So those robots that are working in the factories that have been automated, they know that if they turn 63 degrees this way, they drop down 3 centimetres and pick up this, and then raise to 5 centimetres and rotate, That's all they have to do, and it's all programmed in, and you just do it.
Correct.
But we're looking at things that need to respond to a change in the environment.
Correct. And my favourite of the welding robots, 2 bits of metal on a car.
Yep.
It comes over, it puts 2 electrodes together, goes and welds that, and you go, that weld is going to be perfect every single time,
yeah.
and it's going to do that over and over. But that robot is not making me breakfast. It's just doing that weld, and that's it. So these robots...
Or picking up your laundry.
No, that's right. They're not doing none of that. So in South Carolina, there's an auto parts plant, and there's a humanoid robot named Digit. And so there was a human worker who did this particular job, which basically taking baskets of components. These baskets of components are different. Maybe not every time. They're probably similar most of the time. It's about 11.3 kilograms in mass in this basket of components. They pick it up and they take it to another spot and they put it over there, and then they walk back over here and they pick up another one and they take it over there. So it's doing something that's still fairly repetitive, but not in the stand here, stationary, just twist and do that one little job. So it's having to move around. There are other things in that environment. Sometimes the basket's different. Sometimes the basket's got to go to different places. So it's doing different things. Now, one of the things I found fascinating was that the robot legs were not like us. We talk about how much we steal in technology from humans, from nature. The robot legs are like an ostrich legs where they're backwards. And the backward legs apparently can handle more weight without having to have stronger componentry and without having to have stronger gas struts presumably in there. So the backwards facing legs are better for robots. So we kind of want to see robots.
So humans
like
have
us.
been doing it wrong for
Correct.
like 200,000 years. Well, 5 million years.
That's right, unless you're a rugby player and you've definitely had your knee bent backwards at some stage during your career.
Yeah, okay.
So
That's the exception.
That's the exception, that's right. So they can handle reasonable weight, and they can handle weight that is a bit uncomfortable for humans. So we see when we check our bags, and if ever you've got a bag, I think it's usually 23 or 25 kilos, and it gets the big heavy label stuck on it, and you feel guilty when someone's going to get the heavy label. I think that means that the people loading it onto the actual conveyor belt or onto the plane should have 2 people to lift that up rather than 1. But these can handle 25 kilos. They can handle those weights. They just get built differently to handle different weights. So if you've got some of that fairly repetitive, fairly boring grunt work, that's where these robots are being used. Now, we think about them being able to work continuously and not have to have a coffee break or a toilet break or go home and have a sleep. They can do all of that, but they do need charging. So they typically go in a 4-hour cycle and then recharge between shifts. But you could probably do a battery swap as well. So that's certainly an option there. But we know that the actual device itself isn't going to need to take a break, even though it might need to charge up. So we think, in terms of some of the research that's out there, global car manufacturers definitely are going to be deploying these in each factory. Forget about 200 worldwide. In each factory, we think there'll be hundreds of these humanoid robots in factories by the year 2030.
Right.
So that's a good sign for my basic jobs around the home. The next part is you talk about Charlie Bucket putting caps on toothpaste.
His dad did.
His dad did.
Yep.
Then you think, well, what's Charlie Bucket's dad doing now? Because obviously he's not putting caps on toothpaste.
Well, that's the big thing that people jump up and down about.
Yeah.
But
So car manufacturers in this particular scenario have said, so far with these humanoid robots, we've had no job losses. We don't have enough people on our floor to do the jobs that need to be done. And we've taken those people that used to do that same task and they've now been given more skilled jobs, quality inspection jobs that need a human still at this point in time, rather than needing a robot. Let's let the robot do that boring, repetitive, heavy work, and we'll go and use humans for the smarter work.
And this is something that I saw recently, a futurist actually talking about. So they investigate these things a little bit deeper, but it sounds anecdotal coming from me. But they said that as technology has grown, we've actually seen more jobs growing as a result of that. So technology, far from stealing jobs, yes, it does do things that humans could have done in the past, but more jobs have come up for humans as a result of that.
So when you think of a post hole, you go to a farm, for example, or even just in an urban environment where you're putting up fences, it was pretty hard work. And I've done it when I was a kid, pretty hard work digging a hole to put a post in. And so now we can come along with a little device that's got a lovely little corkscrew on the front of it, and it digs that same hole more accurately without stressing someone's back and creates a hole there. It doesn't mean we don't have people putting fences in. It means they can probably be more productive. They can still put that fence in, but you take away that grunt work, but someone's still got to put the post in, get it lined up, put the concrete in, put the fence up. But gee, just taking away that part of the job makes it so much better for 1,000 different reasons. So I think that's the thing. No job losses. They are finding it hard to hire, just getting enough employees. That's a common problem we seem to see as well. But in terms of cost, one of the bits of economics, I suppose, that some car manufacturers put forward was the entry-level roles for a human at a factory just doing some of the basic work. They're paying those employees $30 an hour or thereabouts, maybe a little bit more. They said at this stage, the robots are costing them maybe $25 an hour. As they get a bit more advanced, maybe down to $10 an hour. So they're a bit cheaper, but they say it won't be that far down the track. These robots will cost, including the cost of purchasing them, about $3 an hour. So for you and I as consumers, we see a car advertised on the lot saying only humans were used in this particular manufacturing process, and we do see cars that are still advertised as handmade, go through the process, and companies like Ferrari probably typically still advertise like that.
Yeah,
you can pay $250,000 for this vehicle that's got the human touch, or here's one that was built by lots of robots at $3 an hour, and that same car that probably does pretty similar to what the other one does
cheaper.
is $50,000 or $20,000 or whatever. So from a consumer perspective, we know that consumers will choose where they go with their wallet. So as much as we might say we want to keep those humans in jobs, let the humans do more skilled jobs, let the humans do harder jobs. Maybe they've got to build the robots. Maybe they've got to program the robots. Who's going to do that? They're new jobs that are being created all the time.
Yeah, and
But
maintenance of the robots. Yeah.
We can't stop it. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
We can bemoan it, but we can't stop it happening.
For a brief moment there, vapes seem to be the answer to the global cigarette addiction. The carpet of used cigarette butts that would decorate public spaces like the bus stop at Broadway in Sydney just disappeared seemingly overnight. But aside from the health concerns that have arisen lately about vapes, it appears that the waste generated by disposable vapes is every bit as problematic. Matt, there's quite a bit that goes into making disposable vapes, and someone has found that recycling these e-cigarettes could be quite profitable. Is that right?
It could be profitable, but also illustrates how wasteful we are. Can I just say for the record that I'm not a big fan of vapes, but I thought this was an
I'll
interesting.
join you in that.
I thought this was an interesting story, in that vapes, throwaway vapes, single-use device vapes, typically have a rechargeable lithium-ion battery. Now we see on social media there are posts there saying, "Oh no, look at these terrible electric vehicles out there. Look at all this mining of lithium that occurs to be able to produce those electric vehicles." Yes, there is mining involved in producing those raw materials, but there's that same mining we see with lithium-ion batteries for vapes, and we don't see people saying, "Isn't it terrible that we're mining to create vapes?" But the numbers are a bit scary. At the moment, it's estimated, well, this is earlier data, it's estimated there were 844 million disposable vapes discarded already, and that's older data, so there would be over a billion discarded vapes easily. And at one stage in 2023, the number was 500,000 vapes thrown away every single day.
Wow.
Now, that's a lot of lithium-ion batteries in small amounts. So one particular gentleman said, "You know what? I'm going to prove just how wasteful we are as a society, and I'm going to power my electric vehicle with vapes." What a project. What a concept.
Yeah, right.
Now, the first thing he did was he got a Riva G-Wiz. I've never heard of that vehicle until this story. It's a very early 2000s EV.
Oh, so he's recycled the car as well.
He's recycled the car, and very seriously recycled. It wasn't a great EV. It had a top speed of about 80 kilometres an hour. The range wouldn't have been much at all. That's in its original format. So this particular gentleman took 500 discarded vapes, took them apart, tested the battery, lithium-ion battery in each one. That's fine. We can hook those up into a 50-volt, 2.5 kilowatt-hour battery. Let's put that in the Riva G-Wiz. And what he found, out of only 500 vapes, he could drive that on public roads. I don't know if it was legally registered, but he could drive that on public roads. He got a top speed of 64 kilometres an hour, and he got a range of 29 kilometres.
And it smells like raspberry marshmallow and
That's right. Beautiful
toasted
smell to
butter
it.
or something, yeah.
So it just goes to show that we are throwing away a lot. Now, that's 500 vapes. That's one very small car. I don't know that we're talking about starting to power Teslas with vapes. If you did, you'd probably need about 12,000 vapes to go and power one Tesla. But even that, when we're throwing away 500,000 a day, even that says to you, wow, that's a lot of tethers that could be powered by all these
Yeah.
rechargeable lithium-ion batteries that we're just throwing away, tossing away. So it's a bit of a demonstration, I suppose, that we've got to be mindful of our resources no matter what device we're using. One vape, what's that matter? I'll throw that away. It's a rechargeable vape. Who cares? But me doing that once, multiplied by 500,000 people around the world doing it once, adds up to a lot. And then it just goes to show lithium ion, whether it's in a vape or whether it's in an EV, it can be used in that same way. I don't know that anyone's tried the reverse, tried powering a vape via an EV battery.
That'll blow your mind.
That's right. That might give you a bit more than you bargained for. I'll leave that
That's a
thought with
raspberry
you.
marshmallow vape that you never had before. Pokemon Go turns 10 years old later this year. There's a bit of nostalgia for you. When it kicked off in 2016, it didn't take long to swell into a global fervour. Now, kids and adults alike could commonly be spotted in parks and shopping centres, quiet streets and sporting fields, merrily chasing invisible cartoon characters for the collection. But it was a phenomenon, folks. Little did people realise that they were adding pictorial information to a massive mapping database. And now our pizza and DoorDash deliveries are much more efficient as a result, Matt. Is that right?
It is right. And I'm going to tell a bit of a story here that goes back to when Pokemon Go first came out. So our eldest daughter had already done her driving test. She'd gotten through 120 hours. That's hard work, from your kids.
That's
it's
a lot
of hours.
Yep.
So we'd gotten through the first one. We went, right, that's done. She's out there driving. Hopefully she's vaguely safe or as safe as possible. That's right.
Yeah. Done everything you can.
We got to our second daughter, our second child, and so she was going through her 120 hours, and it was hard work the first time, and nothing against my second daughter, but it was hard work the second time as well. And we're getting closer towards the end, and then Pokemon Go came out. Now, our third child is a male, irrelevant, but he loved Pokemon Go, and he used to go and collect Pokemon all over the place, go and capture these. And then he came up with a brilliant idea that, can I sit in the back seat while my big sister does her driving hours?
So she got hours.
And
he cruised around town, taking snapshots all around the town.
Absolutely. He would say, can we go here? And it was just, because there are times you were just driving aimlessly. You didn't always have somewhere to go to try and get enough hours up and getting closer and closer to having...
You were just going for a lesson.
That's right. You were going for the sake of driving. And, of course, you had to. There was no option there. You had to sit your P-plate test or your driving test on your 17th birthday, because it would be embarrassing if you didn't. And sometimes if your 17th birthday fell on a Sunday, I was like, oh, no, I can't do a test today. I'll have to do it Monday. So you had to get those hours up. So towards the end, when Pokemon Go came out, we were probably only 2 months from our daughter turning 17, and so we had to get the hours up. So our son would sit in the back seat. One of us, my wife and myself, would sit in the front seat, and he'd be going, okay, yep, go up here and turn around here, and my daughter would be driving along there, getting lots of hours up, capturing Pokemon Go. Now, at no stage during that did we think, I wonder in 10 years' time if we'll be using this for some sort of delivery process. Now, when we have delivery robots out there delivering pizza, delivering various foods, and this is robots, we're talking about delivery robots, not humans out there on their e-bikes. When we have those delivery robots, they've got visibility of what they can see around landscape from above. They've got satellite imagery. They've typically got GPS navigation, which is great. That tells you the streets, that tells you the buildings. But when you're getting your pizza delivered, you need to have a little bit more detail around that.
You need to know what the front fence looks like so you can navigate the gate.
Exactly right. All of these things. How do you know that? Sometimes you've got some of that imagery from Google Maps, but it's just still at a point in time and maybe not that accurate because it's just a car driving along capturing imagery. What would be great would be really detailed imagery with lots of photos there. And so where do we go? Well, let's go to Pokemon and let's see if they've got, 30 billion real-world images at a great resolution because you've got a smartphone taking that. So when my kids and when everyone's kids are out there taking these images, showing
kids and
images,
adults, I've got to say.
Sorry,
there were grown people out there chasing Pikachu.
Yeah, absolutely right. So when they're pointing, and it was probably the first common usage that I saw of augmented reality. You would face your phone at an area, and you would see the area there, and then superimposed on that would be a character, but the area was still on there, and so you're capturing it, but your phone is capturing those images. Pokemon Go, the app, is capturing those images. So here we are 10 years later, and they're saying, thanks very much for all that work you did almost as citizen science, capturing all that imagery. We, Pokemon Go company, has now shared it with Coco Robotics and said, here you go, here's some wonderful imagery. Now, I've got some questions about privacy and did we agree, probably in the 28,000 pages we all just tick yes to.
So, welcome the tinfoil hat wearers now. Yeah.
That's right.
We just too much information of their property has been given away.
Exactly right. And that's what they would say. And hopefully you weren't taking too many images around your house or of your friends and family with no clothes on or whatever it might be. But you've got all these images there that
but
they're
people,
now used.
walking along the street out the front of your house, may have been catching.
May have been, yeah.
I want to say another name besides Pikachu, but I just can't think of them.
No, I don't know off the top of my head either. So when you think about all those images, it's a great database they've got. But what's the big picture here? Where do we go in terms of making sure people realise their data can be used in so many different ways?
Yeah.
Anyway, next time a pizza rolls up at your front door, it might have been your kid or your friends or you chasing around various Pokemon or with Pokemon Go, chasing around various characters and gave it all that particular data.
Cancer is a mongrel of a disease. Unlike other diseases where foreign bodies run amok with our body systems, cancer is simply a bunch of our own cells that have decided to play by their own rules. So treating cancers is far more complicated. Treatments that have been able to work out the good cells from the bad, which is difficult when they effectively look the same up close. So to add to that, different cancers can behave enormously differently to one another. But oncologists may have an ace up their sleeve thanks to AI, Matt.
Yeah, and this wasn't even an oncologist coming up with it. This was a tech entrepreneur who had a rescue dog, Rosie, diagnosed with an aggressive mast cell cancer and given only months to live. And so he didn't love the idea that his dog was going to die, and actually just started wondering, can I do something about this? Is there some way I can use the power of AI and come up with something which he understood fully would not be applicable with humans because there'd be so much testing that would have to go on, but with a dog, maybe. So he started becoming a cancer researcher. Wasn't really educated for that, wasn't really part of his occupation.
So it became a hobby.
A hobby cancer preventer or cancer treater.
Yeah, an amateur oncologist.
Correct, but knowing he had this incredible power of AI behind him. So he basically got some cells, some of the actual cancer cells as well, did some DNA sequencing, spent a bit of money on that, a few $1,000s, to do some DNA sequencing on the cancer-causing mutations and some healthy cells. Then basically did some AI-driven analysis of all that, got a bunch of data sets to pinpoint specific mutations, and then came up with his own immunotherapy drugs. What a concept.
Wow. This is like alchemy.
It is. It's like doing this in the backyard, in your home set, in your home chemistry set. So then came up with some basically alternative cancer treatments, went to some Aussie scientists and said, hey, I've got this mRNA vaccine based on these mutations. Do you think we could create something that would help in this situation? Now, there was still some, if you like, regulatory work to be done. And they still went through a process because it's still injecting something into an animal. Yeah. You've got to make sure that there is some regulations around that, but it's a lower threshold for an animal, and an animal that didn't have long to live compared to a human. So basically injected it, went there and did a booster injection, and a tennis ball sized tumour had shrunk to about 50% of that size within a month.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically, first known case ever of a personalised mRNA vaccine developed for a dog. And so this was not just here's a cancer vaccine, but here's a personalised one. Now, where are the experts going with this? Well, we know there's a lot of work done with mRNA during COVID-19, but that again was for the population. So some of the experts, some of the true oncologists are now saying, how far could we go treating a cancer for James, a cancer for Matthew, not a cancer for the population? We've done a bunch of testing and we think this is okay.
So there's a melanoma there. We're not going to treat it like we treat all melanomas. We're going to treat it like we treat James's melanoma.
Correct. Yeah, what a concept. So take some healthy DNA, take the cancer producing DNA. There are some different mutations there. Let's attack those. And I don't know if this is relevant at all, but I started to think about CRISPR. We've talked about CRISPR before, where you start to address the DNA individually.
Yeah.
So, wow, if I've got your individual mutations, can I start to use CRISPR then to maybe attack those mutations? At the moment, they've got vaccines created with mRNA, but this could really blow apart the whole process for drug discovery and timelines.
And surely, because I know that a brain cancer is different to breast cancer, which is different to pancreatic cancer, which is they've got their differences, and so blanket treatments don't tend to work as well. So this could be big news. Keep your eye on the news coming out of this phase.
Yeah, and again, you're right. I'm going to treat my lung cancer different to my brain cancer because they're different. They're different cancers. Yeah. But this is now saying let's treat the pancreatic cancer that person A has got differently to the pancreatic cancer that person B has got because they're different as well because they're based out of their own DNA as a starting point and they're different. So, wow, I was blown away by this. It was fascinating. And what a great job, well done to Paul Conningham to say, I don't accept that my dog's just going to die soon. I've got to put my dog down. I'm going to see what I can do. And sometimes necessity is the mother of invention. There's a perfect example of that.
Amazing. Developing and marketing technology is a funny sort of a game. For the longest time, the rule has been make it faster, more powerful, with a longer battery life and a bigger screen, etc., 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 etc. But tailoring technology these days is a game for clever people, and the clever people have realised that many computer users don't actually need the biggest and the best for all those features for the jobs that they're trying to do. Downsizing is actually okay, and it doesn't mean having to surrender quality. Matt, here's the thing though, has the MacBook Neo found the mark?
I think there's a pretty good argument for it. So the MacBook Neo's come out from Apple. As you said, normally every notebook that comes out is more powerful than the last, more memory, more storage space, bigger, better, and everything. You don't normally see a manufacturer launch a new phone or a new notebook and say, so this year we've made it less powerful than last year because everyone goes, what am I doing at this launch? Why am I going to buy that product? So normally you're expecting to go up each time. And Apple have done something pretty interesting, but I think Apple do many clever things, but I think it's a pretty clever process. When you look at how people are using their notebooks now, they're typically using them for a bit of word processing, maybe some spreadsheets, maybe browsing the web, maybe using a few online tools, and sometimes the limitation there is your internet connection, not the processing power that you've got on your PC. And if I can throw out a brand name here, for example, a lot of people used to use their own desktop publishing programs, and then along came Canva, and so they're doing their same desktop publishing, but it's online. And so you lose some of that extra flexibility, you lose some of that power, but it's online. So the computer power you used to have a very powerful computer to do any graphic design or desktop publishing, and the serious ones still use that. But for Canva, it covers what most people tend to do. It's a huge success. And so does the computer power I've got matter that much anymore? I can do it on an iPad. I can do it on my phone. What the heck? And so Apple have jumped on that and said most people aren't really using the power that's there, but they're paying for it. And when you think how much we pay for our phones, I mean, you buy an iPhone 17 Pro, you're paying over $2,000, depending on how much memory, well over $2,000 sometimes.
Yeah.
So MacBook have said, let's bring out a notebook that's a basic spec notebook. And the irony here is that they've brought out one, it's $900. They've said it's a basic spec notebook. They've actually used the same processor as their phone. So we talk about the fact that we've got a little computer in our pocket, in our phone. Yeah. Wow, it's so powerful now. It's more powerful than a computer from a few years ago. Well, they're saying, no, it's going to be exactly the same power as a computer right now. So it's the same A18 Pro chip. Yeah. So that's interesting.
But the thing that interests me, I mean, they've said it's entry level, but it's $900. I would have thought entry level might be down another or half that or more.
Well, this is Apple entry level, don't forget.
Okay.
So you pay a bit of a premium for anything that's got the Apple name in front of it. So Apple entry level for a notebook, definitely $900, because their MacBook range, very successful range of notebooks, they're not $900. They're thousands of dollars and many thousands sometimes depending on the model. So it's a basic notebook. It's got a 30-inch display. It's got 8 gigs of RAM. They say it's got 11 hours battery life. Probably not really, maybe 7 or 8 hours battery life. It doesn't have the MagSafe charging, which I thought was a great idea from Apple when they first brought it out, where it clips on the side with magnets. So if you bump the cord, which sometimes people do,
you're not going to break any connections.
The magnet just pulls away. It doesn't have that. It's just got USB-C charging. The keyboard's not backlit. It's got some basic dual speakers. Only got one extra port to plug an external monitor in. So
they've got all these bells and whistles at the launch saying, look what we brought you. And this is the most unbells and whistle.
Unbells and whistles, that's right. We've got our other notebooks for all of that.
Yeah.
But if you just need a notebook to do some of the basics on there, then why do I need all that stuff? And they did an example where they said, let's go and grab Adobe Premiere Pro. Let's put it on there and let's go and edit a video, that's fine, but let's go and export that video. And I know when I'm doing an export of a video, it seems to take a long time, and I do use a very powerful computer, but it seems to take a long time. So they put it on one of their high-end Mac Studios. It's got an M3 Ultra chip, and they exported this video, and it took 2 minutes, which is about right for that sort of power notebook.
Sure.
They put it on this notebook, and it took 11 minutes. It still did it. If I'm there doing graphic processing all day and exporting videos, I want to wait 11 minutes. But if I do it once in a blue moon, every now and again, I might just take a video of the kids at sport, and then I'll just do a quick little edit of that. 11 minutes, who cares? I'll go and make a cup of coffee while it's doing the production of that, rather than do I need to pay thousands of dollars so I can do that in 2 minutes, which I do once a month. So it's kind of that logic where you're saying we don't need all this power that we get for most part the way we're using notebooks. And I dropped into a university lecture just a few weeks ago, and I looked around the room, and it was very different to my days at uni because everyone had a notebook out. Like no one had a notebook out when I was at uni, and they had bits of pen and paper, good old-fashioned style, but everyone had a notebook out, and they were all just typing a few notes of what the lecturer was saying during the lecture. You don't need a very powerful notebook to write down a few notes save that document. Right. That's about all. And I probably think for most of those people in that room, that's all they used it for, was taking notes, looking up some study, looking at some online things. They're not using the power of that notebook for most part. So I think it'll be successful. Apple probably don't launch things generally that aren't successful or aren't going to be successful. But I think it's also a bit of a wake-up call to some of those Windows notebooks out there that maybe there's more of a case for a basic powered notebook. And you might say there's a tablet for that, but tablets sometimes miss the mark. There's certain things you can't do. I use a tablet, and sometimes I go, I'll wait till I'm in front of a computer. There are just certain things that's easier to do on a computer.
I've got to say I'm more of a fan of a laptop.
Yeah. So it's nice. I love an iPad just sometimes when you're on a plane or just need something quick to be able to do quick things with. But
if you've got to type anything, it's frustrating.
Yeah, and I use an external keyboard with mine, but
okay.
It's still not a full size keyboard, and my touch typing isn't as great on that. So there's limitations. It's good, it's handy, but I always want that notebook to fall back to. Call me old fashioned or call me really efficient. I'm not sure which, but this is the case where you've got the notebook, but you don't need that high end processing power. So a good idea from Apple, and I expect to see a few more. And
good on them. Yeah, well done.
Notebooks.
Yeah. And with that, I'm sticking a pin in this episode and watching the sucker deflate to zero. That's it for another week, folks. Thanks for another cracking tech talk, Matt.
My pleasure. I'm going to go and work on a few more talks. I've got to do some talks coming up about anti-scam, and I've got to keep building in some of these ones about pets and about the one I talked about with that.
You got to try hard not to depress people, though, because it's hard knowing that there are so many artful dodgers out there willing to pick our pockets. And
I'm always coming up with, okay, how would I prevent this? What's the best way to prevent this that people are going to actually do? So, I read some of these and I go, I've got to come up with more slides on my deck now about how to prevent some of these scams.
And thank you, folks, for tuning in once again to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. It's so good. It's like exercise for your brain. So well done to you on taking your brain for a stretch today with a couple of squats and shuttles thrown into boot. You've been listening to Tech Talk with Matthew Dickerson. I'm your host, James Eddy. Grateful for your company, whatever the weather, and I hope we'll catch you again in a week's time. Don't forget to tell your friends about us and bring them along for our next cracking episode. Until then, take care, and we'll see you then.